Okay, well, I think we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're very glad you're here. We're going to today be, oh, that's my cuckoo clock. I apologize, but we are on time. We're going to be hearing about and learning again from Paul Epp, the teacher extraordinaire, about the art of prompting and a little bit more information about AI. And I did not get to attend the last session, but I did watch the retroactive YouTube video of it, and it was really exciting, really informative. I told him anytime anybody says AI can produce things you can't even begin to imagine, I get really captivated. So I'm looking forward to learning how to prompt so that we can hear such things. We always want to remember Capital Federal, which so generously funds our retroactive program. When next time you go to the bank, tell them thank you because they're very generous with us, as well as Sharon and David Katzman, whose foundation helps us here as well. I'm not going to talk too much more, but I do want to remind you a little bit about Paul. He is a local, he's a homie from Lawrence, and he's in Kansas City now. We were just discussing that he is the co-founder of Foster Care Technologies that he created and grew and sold, and it actually has to do with a foster care system, which is magnificent. We were talking about that. Now he spends his time helping tech companies develop new products, and how he totally has AI down how to use it, keep ahead of it, as he said. So, and he is, I think, as Kathleen so aptly described him, is a bit of a Renaissance man because he does create music, animation, audiobooks. And so we are really amazingly blessed to have him with us today. So I'm going to stop talking. And I'm very glad to see you here, Paul, and we're going to turn it over to you, and I'll watch the chat box. If you have a question during this presentation that he's going to do for us, just put it in the chat box. I'll be watching it, and if we get a minute or it's appropriate, I will ask your question, and we also have time at the end for questions and answers. So let's get her done. Okay, thank you very much for being here, everyone. Welcome, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Laurel, and thank you everyone for joining. Happy to be back. Really enjoyed giving the last presentation. I would like to correct one thing that Laurel said about me, which is that I have AI down. Nobody has AI completely down, mostly because it is changing all the time. But if we can think about it conceptually, and if I can do my job today, which is to show you just a few tips about how to approach prompting, um, we'll be successful. It's and I'm getting
Paul,
them.
I muted you by mistake.
Can you hear me okay now?
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, very good. So we'll just go through and Laurel said, we'll have questions at the end. I want to make sure to make time for those, and we'll just kick it off. So, prompting is the art of talking to AI, and we'll do just a little bit of review. And let me go through, and you're seeing the slides. Okay, and this is how I describe myself. Laura gave me a little bit of introduction, but this is an AI generated image of me. I say I'm a technology entrepreneur. I had a startup company that was in software. We had to feel a little bit of AI integrated into it already a few years ago. And I also have other pursuits. These are two of my companies that I run here at the bottom. Mostly, I'm just fascinated by these tools. It feels like I told someone the other day, it feels like the internet in the 1990s, right before we had all the dot-com stuff happen. It's just we're looking at this new technology and it's started to take hold. We're seeing it everywhere in the news. You're seeing it filter into all of the things that we use in good ways and bad ways. And my whole ethos is really if we can be specific about what we're talking about and which parts are doing what, it's not nearly as scary and it's much more manageable. Just breaking it down into the parts that we can address is how we can learn anything. And if AI, as we think of it, is, if nothing else, a learning tool, as we'll see here in a minute. Prompting, again, is the language of talking to AI. It is how we are going to communicate with these machines, if we think of them that way. You'll hear me talk about chatbots, which are how most of us are experiencing AI. It's ChatGPT, it's Microsoft Copilot, it's xGrok, it's Claude, Anthropic's Claude. All of these tools that you may have heard of, that's what we're talking about when we talk about AI. AI is actually, if you go back to my previous presentation, I would do a little bit more in depth there about what AI is. It's basically patterns and the ability to go through those quickly using computers. The second point here is that AI is going to change us no matter what. AI is here. It's not going to go away. Um, we can either learn to harness it or it will harness us, if you want to think of it that way. But it's going to change the way we act with each other and act with it. So it doesn't have to be a scary thing. I think it's actually a very exciting thing. If you care to um, look for the light in the darkness, so to speak, you'll find many great things that will improve with AI. So I always want to give that message toward the beginning. Just a quick review. What is AI? It's basically a giant computer. You log in and you talk with the computer. It's a computer that has read the entire internet, is the fastest way to think about it. Um, since it has read the entire internet, or thereabouts. It's a window into everything that's ever been written because we've scanned just about everything that we possibly can into the internet, even if it was written on a stone tablet thousands of years ago. So there's a wealth of what it represents all of human knowledge on the internet. It doesn't address all of our personal thoughts and our personal emotions, and there's plenty of stuff that's not on the internet, but there is a lot that is. And it's a conversationalist that never gives up and never gets tired. We'll come back to that one in a minute. It's just something to keep in mind all the time when you're interacting with AI. This is also a review from last time. Ways to use AI. These are the main three ways that I think are helpful to think about it. It is a research assistant. It will go do research. Again, it's as if you had a willing research assistant that never gave up, that had read the entire internet. You just need to learn how to talk to it, which is the prompting that we're going to talk about today. It is a coach, a teacher, a thought partner. Those are all sort of the um, similar thing that we interact with as if it was a person. And you'll hear me talk about AI as if it is a person, even though it is decidedly not. It's the way we think about it. It's the most efficient way to think about it. And then a creative assistant. So some of these other tools we'll touch on a little bit about. Movies are going to start being created with AI. They already are. Images, podcasts, all sorts of things. Just we call this generative AI, and it's just going to generate all this stuff on the spot based on this prompting, which is the beginning of all of this, which is why it's so important. And then the final introductory slide here is to think of planning, learning, and thinking are the main activities where AI can help us. You're making a plan for a trip. AI can handle all of the variables all at once. How long you're going to be there? Where are the places? It can go search the internet, do all that planning stuff. Learning any topic, it can unpack just about anything. It's not always going to give you exactly the right answer. That's why we still need us to verify, and then just thinking through something. We usually, these activities that we reserve for people thinking through a topic, talking through something, you can use AI if you can learn to prompt and talk with it. So we'll jump right into that. Principles for better prompting. Just try to memorize these. I try to keep my slides pretty clean and simple. Keep them in your mind if you can. Be specific. Keep asking. And when in doubt, ask AI about how to use AI. You'll be surprised at how often that comes in handy.
Hmm.
One of the first things that you can do when you're prompting, and I'll give examples here in a minute. I'll actually demonstrate prompting, which is just typing into AI and getting an answer back. A persona. Ask yourself, who would know this information? If you can tell AI who it is, give it a persona. You are a venture capitalist. You are an arts connoisseur. You are an expert in 19th century French literature. You are already narrowing down the entire internet in a very significant way and giving it a lot of clues about where it should go look, because it will go look wherever it goes to look, and you don't have any say in that, but you do if you tell it who you want to speak with, and it will respond to you in this voice. The next is context. When you're prompting, give background and be specific. Tell it exactly what you want and give it any background that it might need. So part of the background would be something like, I already understand this many these following things about the topic. Please elaborate on what else I should know about it. Or I am looking for instead of telling me about the country of Madagascar, you can say I am specifically interested in the cuisine of Madagascar and how that impacts the culture of the country. And you're narrowing down the entire internet to the things that AI will go look for so it can give you something that's more useful to what you need. And then the third method or tactic, we'll say, for using prompting is telling it to give me format and style. So, do you want it in bullet points? Do you want it in an essay format? Do you want an email ready to go that you can just hit send as if you had written it? Do you want something that's written by Shakespeare? Do you want something that's written for a second grader or a third grader? AI will adapt whatever information it's giving you to this format or style. And the infinite number of ways you can ask for this information. But these three things will already start to show you how AI will give you something more to what you need. And if you imagine doing that hundreds of times over those series of weeks, like I do, it will save quite a lot of time and you'll get to different places than if you're just sort of being general. You're not giving it any style, you're not giving it any persona. So I'm going to do a couple of demonstrations here just to pause a little bit. Um, the first one is persona. So if I say, you and actually, if you have, do we have any suggestions? I'd like take suggestions for something where we can practice the persona idea. Some topic that we want to know about. Do we have it? If you can look at the chat, Laurel, and see if any
Yeah, I'm watching.
whatever the first couple, or just read the first couple, and
Okay.
we go with one of
Thumbs
those.
up. Don't see anything. Oh, here comes something, looks like.
And I can come up with something too, I would say.
Any suggestions, anyone?
I'll start with one.
Okay.
Tell me about the healthcare system.
Okay. And we do have a suggestion here, but we're working.
Okay, we'll do that one in a second.
Okay.
So I've broken the rules that I just gave you. I didn't give it a persona. I didn't give it any style. I didn't give it any background information, and I was very unspecific. It will still give you an answer without any questions asked, as many of you know if you've tried this at all.
Mhm.
And it gave me a very good overview of a healthcare system. Um, and they have people curating these answers so that it learns to write in ways that are very understandable by people. So they've spent a lot of money making sure the AI gets you responses that are pretty good. Now, after doing this, and this is not a bad way to start, but if healthcare system, I actually had in my mind a much more specific question. I realize after seeing this prompt, I will say, you are a medical doctor. Actually, let's say you are a radiologist. I want to know how um, hospitals use X-rays in the United States as a diagnostic tool. So I've given it a persona. I've I've become more specific. I've given it a little bit of background. Actually, I'm going to give it a little bit more background. Say, I already understand the principles of healthcare. Actually, I'll just say I am a medical doctor, even though that's not true. We'll see if it gives me something that a medical doctor can understand. Actually, change my mind. I am a college student preparing to study medicine. And then the third rule was um, telling it a format or style. So I would like you to use bullet points and prose and close your answer with a short poem that rhymes.
Why
Because
not?
because there's nothing that helps us remember what we're reading like a poem that rhymes.
Okay.
And so very quickly it comes up with a new prompt or a new output, is what we call it. A new answer. How hospitals use X-rays in the US. So I told him I was a college student preparing to study medicine. So all of this is pretty digestible. They're not using a lot of medical jargon because I haven't been to medical school yet. But I have an interest. How X-rays fit into the bigger picture, and a poem. Beneath the skin, the shadows play, a beam of light to guide the way, bones and lungs in grayscale show the hidden truths we need to know. So that's just kind of for fun, obviously. But and I should say I'm using Chat GPT for those of you who are familiar with some of the AI tools out there. Um, but you can see how it changed the answer. I went from something very general to something much more specific. Um, it included bullet points. It did exactly what I asked. Gave me prose right here and the closing poem. So just wanted to demonstrate the difference quickly that you can see in one of these AI tools. And I'm going to go back to the presentation to talk about a few more things. Do we have any other questions for the moment, Laurel, that we might address?
Well, I have two suggestions for a search. And one question that just popped up is Chat GPT a browser?
Um, okay, what are the prompt requests?
One prompt is rather general. It is Whales communication.
Okay.
The second is a little bit closer to your prompting style. I am a road tripper, Visiting Pittsburgh, I want to visit the best sites. Interested in historic sites, museums, botanical gardens, and home tours.
Okay, I'll file those away. We'll try to get to those a little bit later
Okay.
here. The question about the browser,
Yeah.
uh, A- AI, this ChatGPT is what we would call a web product. It's software that's delivered to you over the web. So I can go to gpt.com and I am logged into this website just like you would log into your cell phone company or your health insurance company. Um, ChatGPT is just a website. The company behind ChatGPT is called OpenAI. They create the product, they make it available. I have a subscription. I pay $20 a month to OpenAI to use ChatGPT features that are not available in the free version. There is also a free version. The web browser is simply this thing that I'm looking at. It's this um, I'm using one called Brave. It's a variation of Google Chrome. Microsoft Edge is a web browser. Mozilla Firefox is a web browser. Safari, for those of you that use Mac
Mhm.
computers. The web browser is just this, it's also software, but it's the thing that you click on to open your window to the internet. So, actually, a very good question because we take these things for granted. Web browser is where you go to use websites. ChatGPT is basically just a website.
Website. Okay.
Okay, so let's jump back into a couple of things here. We talked about format and style, and I wanted to give you just a couple of examples. So this is my cheat sheet um, for a few prompts that you might try on your own. Um, and if you're watching the video, you can go back and see the posted video and, click pause and practice a couple of these or some variation of them. For teaching, explain this health policy to me in English as if I'm 70 and new to it. And I used ChatGPT to prepare for this presentation. And I said, um, I'm wanting to give an introduction to AI. It's a club of folks who are retired or of around that age. So it will infer all of these things about the types of topics and all sorts of things. So if it is inferred things that are not exactly accurate, I remove some of my responsibility from it, although I did proofread the whole thing. Um, but again, just examples. Sometimes all you need to get started is just a few things. Just type it in and try it. Planning, create a weekly meal plan is a very popular one I see a lot. The comment about the trip to Pittsburgh or wherever it was,
Yes.
you can give it a number of different variables, places to eat, the length of the trip, and it will do all of these sort of calculations. That's what you don't get from Google. If you're ever comparing AI to Google, Google now has an AI component that shows up at the top, so that not to confuse things, but you can have a multivariable question. How many, places to stop, here's how long, and it will figure all of the stuff out. As I will say ad nauseum, you always have to verify. You always have to look at the output and see if it makes sense and use your brain. We'll talk about that more. But again, travel guide, um, step-by-step instructions. I use AI all the time to remind me how to log into my cell phone website or pay the tax on this or that thing. It is amazingly accurate. It understands basically how to use every website, um, especially if it's a big company, it's popular. It will give
Wow.
you step-by-step instructions for how to reset your machine, do anything on your iPhone. We all have so many things that we have to log into and navigate, and they expect us to memorize all this stuff. We can't memorize it. AI is your tool to fight
Okay.
that. It will give you step-by-step instructions to change your setting on your laptop, or I use it all the time for that kind of thing. It's one of my favorite uses. And then the creative generation, we showed that a little bit already with the poem about healthcare.
Mhm.
So, like I said, just come back. If you're interested, pause the video. These are some great things to just try, and this will get your motor running about how you might um, ask it for other things. Some pitfalls. Not surprisingly, you can't be too vague. Your results will be too broad. We already demonstrated that. You don't want your prompts to be too long. If your prompt's too long, the AI will try to address every point of it. It's going to pick and choose whatever it wants, and it won't ask you. You have to keep going. You can arrive at what you need, but you'll get there much faster with a better prompt. And we only have so much attention and waking hours before we just get tired of it. So it's good to do these things efficiently. And you don't want to confuse the AI, which is what you run the risk of doing that if your prompt is too long. Now, there are exceptions. If you have a prompt that requires lots and lots of context, that's all within the rules of prompting. Background, um, context. Sometimes, nuclear physicists trying to solve very detailed problems with AI will need to give it large prompts. There are also some tricks where you can use some of these tools to set your particular AI so that it has some of that prompting built in, but that's a topic for another day. Um, and then don't ever forget to check what it gives you. Don't print it out and send it and post it all over the internet and say, this is the truth, AI told me. It doesn't work that way. You have to verify everything. This is the thing that is probably underrated that we don't hear much about. The news tends to overhype things. They want to talk about this in glowing terms or disastrous terms.
Mhm.
Um, money businesses are using AI, specific people, coming up with project plans. In my work with software, coming up with a project plan, you can very easily get something that really doesn't make any sense if because it won't ask to clarify, and it might be buried deep in the answer, and you have to go through it, but you always have to check. Um, it's a very important thing. People don't want to. It takes time. But we have to remember that this is not a person and it's not going to necessarily give you the truth.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
There's, uh, I don't know if you want any questions. There's two questions that came in.
yeah, great. And this
What
is just
about,
a review of what I just talked about. So
okay.
good time for questions.
Oh, okay. What about security? Can anyone ask my address or my password to Costco, etc.?
If you try to ask AI for those types of things, the services have been programmed so that they do not deliver that information.
Okay.
Um, I happen to know of a younger person recently who asked for Taylor Swift's address, and it was not given. And AI knows not to deliver those things. Now, you have to remember what you're experiencing with AI. These big companies are very legally sensitive. They're highly capitalized. They understand the risks very well. They cannot eliminate all of these risks. Um, there are people out there jailbreaking AI so that you can trick it into giving you instructions about how to do nefarious things, that kind of thing. But they're pretty good at not giving personal information about anyone. They've locked these things down. Whether or not it even has that information, we're not too clear. It may, they say they don't, but you don't need to worry about that too much. I mean, any more than you need to worry about it just being available on the internet. And I forgot the other question, Laurel.
The next question, I didn't ask you, so you didn't forget a thing. Based on the output you receive with your prompting, can you modify your prompt without starting over?
Um, can you modify your prompt without starting over? You can, not exactly, if I'm understanding the question correctly. I
Okay.
mean, right here is where I am writing my prompt. Um, I have one shot to ask the thing and then press enter. Now, what you can do is you keep modifying. You can say, tell me about raccoons, and it will give you information about raccoons. And I say, okay, well, um, you can say, I actually meant, you don't even have to say what you meant. You can just sort of treat this as saying, um, I would like to know about raccoons' sleeping habits. And you can effectively modify your prompt just by continuing to ask more narrowed down questions.
Okay.
Now, that does bring up another point that when you're asking within one chat session, which is what we call this as it keeps going down and down, I can go to I come to here if I want, over here on the left, it's kind of small, but I will click new chat and it will start a new chat session. And so most of these services, you can go back and you can find your old chats. The service will give it a name, which you can also change so that you can go reference that conversation that you had with AI. But that's the way to think of it. Each one of these is a conversation, but it will remember what you asked at the very beginning.
Hmm.
So if I am several, several prompts I've put into one conversation, I can reference the very first prompt and it will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. There is one more question if you'd like to take another one right now.
Yeah.
As Edge, Firefox, and Google offer IA, do you recommend using Chat GPT instead? Are there other sites similar to Chat GPT that should also be considered? And if so, which one do you recommend?
I have a list at the end of the different chat bots that we can go through,
Okay.
so I will cover that one.
Okay.
Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Safari, um, Mozilla Firefox, these are all web browsers.
Okay.
That's back to the question about web browsers versus AI.
Right. Right.
ChatGPT is a website, that's the AI tool.
Right.
And you can go to ChatGPT on any of those web browsers. You just type chatgpt.com in or grok.com or
Okay.
Microsoft. But yeah, I'll share that list at the end.
Okay, great. Want one more question? Actually, two, but
Okay,
or
let's do it.
you
Yeah.
want to wait? Here's one. Who owns the product created with AI collaboration?
Owns the product. If you're talking about, let's say, create an image of a raccoon, I don't know, playing the piano.
Why
This
not?
this is going to create an image, and I broke all of my rules. This is not a good prompt. I wasn't specific. I didn't give it any context. I didn't. When you're doing the image prompting, chat services like ChatGPT will produce images. Not all of them will. Some of them are more specialized. Um, but I will get back whatever it feels like providing. When I'm generating an image, I can tell that I want it to be photorealistic, or I want it to be as if it was drawn by a Disney animation artist, or I can say in a painterly style. And
Okay.
that's the style format sort of prompting. The question about do I own this? This is going to produce an original picture that is supposedly never existed. And after it does, I can use that. Um, yes, technically you can own that. That is a matter of the courts, however. I know Disney is very sensitive about this stuff, and if it looks like Disney
Okay.
created it, they may go after you, and then it is up to the legal system, and that's just not a settled issue right now. Um, there was an AI. What you'll start to see, we're already starting to see, there was an AI image that won an art competition. I think it was in Colorado already several months ago, that was co-created with people and AI. And there was, a lot of controversy about whether they should have won. The art competition judges didn't necessarily know, that who wins a
Mm.
competition isn't decided by the legal system. it's basically whether someone comes after you, and it's not a settled thing yet. I don't have any reservations about putting this online. You should think more about whether you want to put your name behind something as if you created it. If I said that I painted this, that's not true. Transparency is almost solves almost all of these problems. If you say I used AI to generate it, you're being honest, you're avoiding legal questions, and probably no one's going to come after you.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. Honesty is the best policy. One more quick question. Other than Chat GPT, are there other highly regarded AI vendors? I think you're going to maybe talk about that later,
Yeah.
but
I'll get to that list. In fact, let's switch
okay.
back and go to
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Um, so prompting takeaways, if you don't remember anything else from today's presentation, remember these things to be a better prompter. Give it a persona, provide context, that's background and being specific. Um, ask for a format and style. So just another sort of cheat sheet there.
Okay.
Some final thoughts. This is where I sort of inject my own opinions into the presentation, which is AI needs to be for everyone. Um, you don't have, there's no legal obligation to use AI, but I think we all have a moral obligation to use AI. Um, just because it's so transformational, um, it's going to help you understand the world for the next de few decades.
Mhm.
I think it's important. It's going to shape the way we do things. It's going to shape our leaders. It's going to shape all kinds of things. And we want to, AI is also training on everything we put in there, or it can. So if I type all of those prompts that I just demonstrated for you, AI is taking that, these companies rather, are taking that into consideration and they're saying, oh, okay, well, we got somebody in Lawrence who's asking this kind of question and or, you know, it's not going to be that kind of context specific, but they'll all of this contributes to the larger knowledge that's being generated. And it's just a good thing to think about. It's going to be for everyone. If we don't interact with it, it's going to start ignoring us. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I'm a big
Mhm.
believer in that. Just like when we're interacting with businesses, that's what we're doing. We're interacting with products that have been built by businesses, and we need them to know what we want because we need them to respond to what we want and what we need. So that's why I say AI needs to be for everyone. Um, The other point to make is language is incredibly important. There are obviously AIs in different languages. Language is one of the big translation, I should say, is one of the big areas that AI has disrupted. I think Apple has a new product I haven't tried, but you're gonna be able to listen to someone talk. They say they've released this already. You can wear these ear devices. You can listen to someone talk in another language, and you can get basically real-time translation into your
Oh,
ears.
wow.
Um, how well it works, I don't know, but it's going to be very standard very soon.
Hmm.
And
That,
that's going to change a lot of things,
yes.
instantly. But the point about language is that this is how AI is basically computers that have learned to speak English, if you want to think of it that way.
Okay.
For those of us who are only really, really fluent in one language, knowing English very well, understanding how to use it, understanding context, all of these things are things that we have learned as people. And these are going to be very important. How the younger generation is learning these skills is a different topic and definitely one that we should address as a society. But um, be grateful for as much language as you already know, and how you use it will change the results that you get. It will has a big impact on how you're going to use AI. And frankly, if you don't know the language that well, AI can help you learn it better,
Hmm.
probably very quickly. And then just the final point that this will change the way that we communicate as we get more used to prompting. Um, I can already tell when I speak in business meetings and just who I'm speaking to. We all do this subconsciously. We adjust how we feel that's going to be received based on who the audience is. We speak differently to a third grader than we do to a CEO of a company, perhaps. Well, I do anyway. And it's just going to be more. This could be a very good thing. I mean, it's going to help us communicate better
Mhm.
because we're going to think more about how we're asking questions, how we're interacting, the information that we're getting. So don't be afraid that it's going to change you, and that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then
Yeah.
just the final point that AI is changing all the time. The only way you can't stay current, you can just stay involved. And so don't make it your goal to understand AI completely. Understanding a corner of it that is relevant to you is very, very important and very much worth doing.
Mhm.
And if it changes suddenly, don't be upset like I am all the time. Don't follow my example. Um, just be ready for it and say, okay, this is working a different way. We're going to respond. So
Uh-huh.
that's really the end of the presentation. I did want to share that list of these are sort of the common ones I actually have not used. I've barely used Claude Anthropic on the left there, and I've barely used Llama. Llama is an open source model, which is a topic for another day, one I'd be happy to talk about. And then I've got a few on the right here that are more specific to a medium.
Uh-huh. Wow, that's amazing. There are some questions if you'd like me to read them.
Yes,
You know.
please.
All right. This is a little bit of consumer reports here. Uh, for day-to-day inquiries by retired people, which is what you're hearing right now,
Mhm.
what does paying the $20 monthly fee get you that just general use of the ChatGPT.com website gets you? In other words, is it worth it? Or what are the little bells and whistles maybe that you get for that $20 a month? That
Oh boy. This is the question about that throws me for a loop because of the
uh
constant change.
I
Um, I believe last time I checked, you couldn't upload documents to the free version of ChatGPT, and that's broadly the case for most of them. They're very similar. And I might upload a document like uh, I had a health insurance document where I needed to make a decision about a policy
Mhm.
recently, and I uploaded the document. It didn't have any personal information, it was just policy information. And the
Mhm.
AI just went through it and boiled it down, compared the plans in a very readable format. And
Wow.
um, that was very effective, and a great use of AI. And I don't believe you can do that with the free version. I don't. I would just say in general, they're going to give you better stuff if you pay a little bit for it, and it's just a trade-off that you might make. And for that matter, in this in the spirit of inquiry, what is the difference between
Okay.
and free versions of
Yes.
ChatGPT?
That,
Um,
yeah. Ask AI about AI.
yeah, great opportunity. So base models, different models work to better than others. Character limits, like I could prompt all day long on the same message. They won't let you do that with the free version. Response times, that kind of stuff. That they can, and then ChatGPT will always give you follow-ups. Do you want me to check on this next thing? That's actually very helpful too. AI
Mhm.
most of the services will do that. What else do you have, Laurel?
This next one is kind of along the same lines. If one is using the free version of Chat GPT, are previous searches, answers saved and recoverable?
Um,
And if so, how? Forgot that part.
the free version of ChatGPT allow you to recover previous conversations. It says yes, as long as you haven't deleted them.
You can search.
So I guess so.
Okay.
Some of the product specific stuff I don't, I won't know all the answers, but AI will.
Right.
But always verify, try it out. And if you run into a problem, like I might say, please tell me how to do this. Remember that it will give you instructions and you can very quickly say, so it says check the sidebar, use the search bar, depending on the format, and
Wow.
yeah, use it as that research assistant that will give you instructions on how to do any of the stuff that they expect us to just remember.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful. Well, here's another question. What AI platform do we use if we select that option on Google?
If you're talking about, if we were to go to google.com, and I would ask about, these are just things that we'll just ask about
Mm-hmm.
FIFA World Cup ticket. Okay, I'm surprised here. It didn't give me. That's very strange. Usually it will give me, it will give you AI results up here. I don't know why it didn't. But Google has a model called Gemini.
Yes, seen that.
I'm logged in. Give me just a second. I can use it on this. So I'm switching to a different web browser. Let's do Aurora Borealis magnetic. Okay, still not pulling up AI. I'm clicking. But Gemini is Google's AI, and usually it will give you search results from Google, from the AI, from Google Gemini in the actual Google search if you go to google.com. I actually don't know why it's not doing that. But AI changes all the time, like I said.
Yes, a lot of things do. Here's a question. Will AI replace YouTube how-to videos?
Yeah, it will in some things. I I mean, it's going to be much more efficient to learn how to replace your engine filter by watching a YouTube video than it will be trying to interpret text. So it just comes down to the type of activity it is.
Mhm.
Um, Google has all of YouTube's data, so they are best positioned to make use of anything that's not really where you don't need a video. The AI is going to be faster, it's going to be more specific. The video you have to sort of watch. If they don't answer your question in the video or they don't show you something, you don't have any recourse. With AI, you just keep asking
Mhm.
and it will give you the answer to the specific question that you need. So you just I still use both for different things. It just depends on what the activity is.
Yeah, if you're trying to cast on to knit, I think I'd much rather personally watch that than read about how to do it. you
I
know?
think that would be much easier.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They are starting to, and a next topic that I may be doing, is going through some of these other services, the video generation. I've tried a little bit of that one.
Mhm.
There's a lot that you can do with image generation.
Yeah.
Um, you'll be able to create a video that teaches you how to knit very soon. That's where prompting skills really come into play, actually. It's the people who really understand prompting
Mhm.
and knitting, in that case, who can craft something like that that
Mhm.
will result in a useful video.
Mhm.
Um, we're not quite there yet, generally speaking, but a really good prompter can probably create that
And that, of course, increases your language skills, as you mentioned. It makes us use our language
very much.
more precisely. Here's another question. Do we need to worry about how any version of AI may pull files or any kind of material off our computer hard drives?
Yes, you do.
Oops.
Um, you need, I mean, as a general rule, anytime you're uploading anything to the internet, you can't 100% verify where it goes. Now you
Mhm.
can, we've all, at least I have resigned myself to providing protected health information or financial information to those institutions that are in charge of it.
Mhm.
Frankly, if they have the information on their servers, they have an obligation to keep it safe. And I have a pretty good expectation that when I'm going to their website that I've used before, I can provide the information through their products and their tools.
Okay.
Other than that, don't give it anything that you wouldn't feel comfortable posting on social media.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
the best test to use. I don't give it any, if I have a specific question like that health insurance document I mentioned, I take out any personal identifying information just in case. It's just a good practice. I've gotten accustomed to doing that. And yeah, you should generally be wary about providing anything that you don't need to that's personal in nature,
Right.
internet.
Okay. Oh, here's a new question. Well, let me scroll down a bit. With all the inaccurate information on the internet, will AI use that spreading false information in its reply? Interesting.
Um, will it spread the information? It will disseminate the information. It will give you inaccurate information.
Mhm.
Um, whether or not you disseminate it is up to us
True.
as citizens and
Mhm.
you know community members. Um, what I what I'll say about the AI and um, controversial or dangerous or information that we can't prove is true or don't know if it's true, that kind of thing. Um, keep asking. I mean, one of the things I haven't done it in a while, but one of the things that you can ask AI to do is to debate a topic. Um, you can
Mhm.
use AI, you can say, hey, what would so and so say about this topic? And what would so and so, how would she debate with the other person about this topic? And if we use it for those sorts of things, we have to use AI as conscious people. You need to be very careful about how you give access to people who are young and not experienced enough to understand these concepts. I don't have all the answers for that. The companies they have certain restrictions that they can put on the tools, but it's the Wild West. It takes all of us to sort of police that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in a group like this where it, it's use it responsibly. You can program yourself. You can get yourself worked up about topics with just information. You can get yourself angry, excited. these things are going to be tools for doing that. They will learn how to probe us. They will prod us to do that. Um, and you just have to be aware of that.
Mhm.
You have to take yourself out. There are all different ways to do that, but you can use it to say, if we have information, what's the opposing view, or why is that true, or why? You can constantly query these things
Okay.
and start to discover, inconsistencies or
Mhm.
bad information.
There's a kind of follow-up to that question. Can AI fact check?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it will fact check just like the internet has been used to fact check things. Depends on the source. Who do you trust? Um, you can keep asking it. It will let's see. Uh, I can say what I don't mean to keep coming back to this healthcare topic, but it's on my mind.
Okay.
What is the best healthcare policy? Okay, breaking all the rules for prompting, it's not a good, you know, we'll see what we get back. But I'm just making a point to say it's going to give you something, it's going to give you information about this or that, and you might read it and say, no, that's not true. That doesn't take into account macroeconomics, or it doesn't address the edge cases that I know to be true from my own personal experience.
Mhm.
And like you can up here, it's telling you it's searching for international healthcare systems. It's going to give you a broad survey. Um, but you can start to debate this topic. This gives you sort of a place to start. And what I really wanted to show you here was it's going to give you sources so that you can go to the actual website to see where it pulled this information.
I see.
And that is a very important tool that didn't exist at the very first version of ChatGPT, for example.
That is helpful. I noticed too, the word good was in quotation marks. It's almost like
Yeah.
define good.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? It's trying to help you.
Yeah, it understands that that's not really a good question, and so it's prepared, which
Wow.
is good in its own way. But you can't depend on it. It's still a machine.
Right. It's a machine. That's amazing. Gosh, talk about an hour speeding by. I see we have about 2 minutes left. Are there any more questions? Anyone have anything quickly to ask? Um, this has been fascinating to me. I've got to say, I just don't know where to go with it. What what a concept, and also what an opportunity for uh, triumph or disaster. It really is very exciting. And I thank you so much for sharing everything in such a clear way. Even I could understand, or at least I think I can understand. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for being here today. I've got to say, you're a little too young to remember the film of 2001, but I'll never forget that astronaut pulling up and saying, "Open the pod bay doors, Hal." And, it
I mean
it made
that's
me think of that. And then Hal says, "I can't do that, Dave." I just thought,
it's a very famous scene among anyone who's worked in technology. And
yes, and I've got to say,
watch
I
it.
it brought all that up, and I thought, well, here we go, 2001 all over again. Thank you, many thank yous coming up here on the chat box, flying applause. So, thank you so much for being with us today, Paul. Really learned a lot. Thanks so much again and again. Thank you. And this will be up. It's being recorded. We'll have it up in a couple days. And we might be reaching out to you to discuss that next topic that you thought might need a little bit of clarification, Paul. Thank you so much. It has been really exciting talking to you and listening. And we'll see everybody at the next event. And our next tech club will be in the month of November. So we'll let you know what we're going to be up to. And thanks again. And thanks for being here, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for your time and attention.
Oh, thank you. It was fascinating. Bye, everyone.